Yo, what's going on, guys? So Dejan Kulusevski's officially sealed his move to Tottenham Hotspur, and you can't really blame certain sections of the fan base for being a bit skeptical towards this move, given Tottenham were chasing the likes of Adama Traore and Luis Diaz throughout January. However, he is not an afterthought. This is very much a shrewd bit of business, and I'm going to explain to you why. First and foremost, Antonio Conte and Kulusevski are a match made in heaven. Conte is obviously famed for his meticulous attention to detail and the way he prepares his players for matches with the use of video analysis, and this lad is very much cut from the same cloth. Kulusevski has a similar approach and likes to educate himself by watching tons of footage of players. Some of his favorites are Kevin De Bruyne, Eden Hazard, and quite fucking randomly Adnan Januzaj. That's just one of them weird ones like Erling Haaland and Michu. Make of that what you will. Before moving to Juventus 2 years ago, he sat through all of their then manager Maurizio Sarri's matches in charge of Chelsea. My friends, if that is not commitment, I don't know what the fuck is. Conte actually tried to sign him for Inter, and even as a teenager, Kulusevski was mature enough to turn the offer down, as he knew it would be tough to get game time unless he developed his game a little bit more. He couldn't get into Atlanta's side at the time because they had Ilicic and Papu Gomez, who were on absolute fire, so he asked to be loaned out. He knew exactly what he was doing, as illustrated by his former coach, who states, "He was very clear about how he saw his career panning out. He said, my plan is first to make my Serie A debut with Atalanta, then I'll probably go out on loan to one of the clubs where I have more chance to play, and from there I'm aiming for the top clubs in Europe. I've sat down with some young players over my coaching career, and you always hear those stories. I want to go to Barca or United or Juventus. You're like, okay son, it's good to have high goals. In this case, you look back at what happened. Dejan made his Serie A debut, he went to Parma, a team where he could have playing time, and then he went to Juventus, all in less than a year. That is amazing. Now, the season he had on loan there was nothing short of sensational. 10 goals and 9 assists in 36 league appearances for a side that was battling with relegation. That saw him win the Serie A Best Young Player of the Season. And just for context's sake, Carlos Tevez, when he was the main man at West Ham in 06-07, he had 7 goals and 5 assists in 26 games. It is not easy to be getting that sort of end product for a side that is in the bottom half of the table, yet he did exactly that despite being a teenager and playing in midfield. RB Leipzig and Manchester City were after him prior to his move to Juventus, and those two clubs rarely ever make mistakes in the market. You look at the last half a decade or so, pretty much everyone they've brought in has turned out to be a success. As far as his style of play is concerned, he's always moving with and without the ball. That's extremely important for Tottenham Hotspur. I see some of their players, they're extremely static. This will kick them right into gear. He has regularly topped the distance covered stats in Serie A and was even top of the class in that metric while at Gasperini's Atalanta, who are notoriously fit. He's tall and strong, so he's going to be able to handle tackles with ease, which will help in a more physical league like the one in England. He's got great decision making in the final third and knows when to pass or shoot. That does my fucking head in whenever players are going for goal, even though they just have a square ball which would end in a tap-in. He's going to do exactly that. And the best part is he loves taking on defenders. That's going to get crowds off their seats, and it's the kind of player that I want to be seeing in this league. Ibrahimovic is a huge fan of this guy, and that bloke doesn't like anyone except himself, When Kulusevski was named on the bench for a Nations League game against France, he tweeted, "What a fucking joke." I've just put it up on the screen there. Personality-wise, however, he's almost the complete opposite of Ibra, naturally quite shy and just likes to get his head down and work. Speaks decent English, so that should help him settle down quite quickly. There's a narrative which states that he's flopped at Juventus, and that couldn't be further from the truth. Things started for him very brightly, and he actually had an excellent first season. Ronaldo was getting all the goals, but it was him and Chiesa who really stood out for me whenever I watched them. He finished top scorer in the Coppa Italia, which is a trophy they ended up winning. He nabbed a goal in the final against his former side Atalanta. You have to understand the context of his time at Juventus. The man who signed him in Maurizio Sarri was sacked before he even made his debut. His replacement in Pirlo looked out of his depth at times and only lasted a season. And then Allegri's come in and hasn't really warmed to it, but that happens all the time in football. Club is in transition overall, and after losing Ronaldo, they need someone who can get the goals, which is exactly what Vlahovic will provide. In order to raise those funds, they had to get rid of this lad as well as the other man you've signed in Bentancur. As far as how he's going to fit at Tottenham Hotspur, Conte shape-shifted back and forth between a 3-4-3 and a 3-5-2. Of the two shapes, Spurs have predominantly featured the 3-4-3 shape with Son and Lucas Moura sitting off of Kane in the front three. But in my opinion, two of your best performances have come in the 3-5-2 shape against Liverpool at home, that 2-2 draw, and that 3-2 victory against Leicester away, 2 stoppage time goals from Bergwijn. fucking incredible stuff. Even if you take that away, dominated that game from pretty much start to finish. With Kulusevski in the fold, he gives Conte a lot of freedom to try out new options. His most natural position falls as the right winger in that 3-4-3. However, he can also play in a front two in the 3-5-2. And he has the range and showcases the work rate to play as a right-sided midfielder in the 3-5-2 should Spurs want to feature a lineup that is more of an attacking impetus. One note of caution, however, is that only 19 of his 35 appearances were starts, so a fair proportion of his minutes were from the bench against fatigued defenses, which might have helped to inflate his attacking output just a little bit. But in my opinion, that's going to work out in Tottenham's favour because he's coming in with no preseason, no chemistry with the rest of the team, so I'm expecting him to be an impact sub at least till the summer, unless he takes like a duck to the water. Fernandes came in for Man United and did that in January, but that is very rare, few and far between. He will most likely take some time to acclimatize, and I look forward to him doing just that. He has a knack for quickly raising his level and re-collaborating whenever faced with a new challenge. And all I have to say to Tottenham Hotspur supporters is just remember he's only 21 years old. To put that into perspective, Tanganga is older than him right now. So just be patient, and I'm sure you're going to see the best of him, and you're going to get a player who will stay at the club for a very long time. Please let me know what you guys think. If you want any more insight into this player or Bentancur, another person you've signed, and I'll be happy to do so. Have a great day and take care. All the best.